Now I need you guys to be honest. Did you or did you not miss me? Did you?
Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Ms. Opinionated.
New episodes every Thursday.
And here's your host,
Divine Priestess.
For those who are new, for those who are old, welcome back. This is Miss Opinionated, season 2 of Miss Opinionated, and I'm your host, Divine Priestess. I want to point out that this episode, we are just going to be talking about some things that I've learned in my time away, how I've changed spiritually, emotionally, mentally, some things to expect this season, stuff like that. That's what we're going to be touching on. But I do want to point out, I did not realize I have been podcasting on and off for 8 years. That is wild. That is crazy. And years ago, because when I first started podcasting was not, I'm not going to say it wasn't a thing, but it was not popular at all. And I tend to be ahead of time. Always. I'm always ahead of time. Because when I started podcasting, people were not on there like that. And years later, it wasn't until years later people started to get into podcasting and it just became this big ass thing. And I'm like, damn, what would have happened if I would have continued podcasting? If I would have continued recording and showing up, like how much further would I have been? However, I don't like worry myself too much with that because that type of thinking, it can sometimes put you back. But I sit there and I just think about like, wow, I've been doing this for so long. And I have definitely changed directions many, many times. I've been had many different names. I can't even tell you what the first podcast name I had. I do know I had a podcast called Conversations with the Divine Priestess. I do know I had Sweetwater Podcast. There was another, it was like Jen something. I haven't had Miss Opinionated is definitely the fourth podcast name. And I feel like this one is the most fitting out of it all. So I will say within those 8 years, yes, I've been doing it on and off for 8 years. I want to say within those 8 years, I have definitely found what is more fitting for me in all of my, I don't want to say personalities, but what is most fitting for just who I am and the many changes that I go through. Like I have my seasons, okay? I had a podcast where it was just nothing but motivational speaking. Then I had a podcast that was more so centered and focused on spirituality, but I say this all the time is I don't always just want to talk about spirituality in a sense of magic because spirituality is something that it's just a way of life. Okay. And at least for me, it is a way of life. Like there's nothing that I can do to get away from it. I cannot turn off being a spiritual person. I just can't. So I don't, and also I don't want people to get caught up in spirituality so much that they get into psychosis. I like for people to be very realistic. And I'm not saying that being spiritual is not realistic. However, some people get way caught up in it that they go into spiritual psychosis and then they start going crazy. Okay. And so I feel like Misopinionated is the best way for me to talk about mental health, emotional health, and spirituality. Okay. So, why did I decide to bring Miss Opinionated back? Why did I decide to bring it back for season 2? It was always my plan to bring it back to season 2. However, I did take a break. I took 2 months away. I don't think my intention was to take 2 months away. I just got so caught up with my personal life and working that I didn't make any time to record. Also, I did have some people ask me of when I was going to bring the podcast back, that they really like the episodes and it's been helping them so that, with some motivation. But I had someone get on me about me dragging my ass and not recording, and that it's been 2 months and that's way too long. Like, I need to like get on it. So I already have an episode that is recorded, right? And I'm very excited about this episode. I was going back and forth on making that the first episode back or not. And as we clearly see, that's not going to be the first episode, but it bringing the podcast back, it just required me to have balance. And that is truly the biggest reason for me not recording and continue to record like I was, because so many changes have just been happening in my life, not only on a physical level, but also on a spiritual and mental level as well. I have talked about my trip to Cuba in many episodes, and it really shifted things for me. And I urge you guys to travel outside of the country. I remember when I was an Uber driver. Now, I didn't have many jobs. I done so many things. But I remember when I was an Uber driver, I would talk to people who were from different countries all the time. And I would tell them, like, yeah, I never left the US. I've traveled to different states and things like that, but I've never been out of the country. And they were saying, like, you have to go. Like, it's going to change so many things for you. And in fact, it did. Going to Cuba had shifted so much for me. Like, when I was in Cuba, I thought I knew what peace felt like. And we can grow accustomed to the chaos, right? We begin to adjust to the noise that is around us. However, when I went to Cuba and I was there for 6 days, no, I was there for 5 days because I missed my flight the first day. So I was there for 5 days. And in those 5 days, oh my gosh, the way that my nervous system shifted, like I I can't tell you when I'd had that much peace. Like, my nervous system regulated so goddamn good. And as soon as I landed back in Houston, I'm telling you, as soon as the plane touched the ground, I felt my body tense up and I got super stressed. I got stressed too because I got a text from work at like 10 o'clock at night when I landed. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I haven't even gotten off the plane yet. And I was like, I have to give myself that peace and that happiness and that security. I have to do that for myself. And so I need to do what is necessary for that. So my life has changed a lot, even during, because I want to say if you start listening to some of the episodes in season 1, you can kind of already tell the shift that was happening in my tone of voice. I want to say maybe my demeanor has changed. I even feel like right now, with my tone of voice and just how slow I'm speaking, that you can see a change. Okay. And I give thanks to Cuba. I love Cuba. I tell people all the time, I love Cuba. And I'm very excited to travel to other different countries. So that way, again, I can give myself what I need, because we get so caught up in work, and there is so much more to life than work. I have said this countless times that God did not put me here on this earth to be stressed out. God did not put me on here to this earth to work myself down to the marrow. That's not why I'm here, and that's not why you're here. And so do what is going to bring you happiness mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Okay. So a lot has changed in my life since season 1. A lot. Even spiritually, there have been some advancements. There have been some advancements, and that is an adjustment as well, because I'm like, wow. Just my visions have changed quite a bit. Being around other people, feeling the energies. Before, telling you, before I was really good at blocking it off for the most part. Ever since I went to goddamn Cuba, you guys. And the things that I have done after Cuba had put me in a different realm spiritually. And we'll talk about that in another episode. But what I've learned, this is question number 3, what I've learned during my time away. So during my time away from recording, I have truly realized, I mean, I noticed this before, but it really sat with me because, again, I took 2 months away from recording, that I don't make time for myself and that I'm working, 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 working. Like outside of, like, when I tell you guys I'll be working from sun up to sun down, and then I just do that. There are times where I will work 6 days a week. Like today, I was going back and forth of, oh, should I go to work? Should I stay home? Maybe I should go to work. And it's like, girl, take some time off. I mean, is recording this episode taking time off? I mean, yes and no. But as far as working the clock for someone else, making them money, I need to take a break from that. And so during my time away, I had to get a clear eye of what is most important. And when it comes to working, because yeah, you gotta work because you have to, I don't want to say the word survive, but you gotta take care of your household, you gotta take care of yourself, all these different things. But what I've learned is that all that time and effort I put in to be a good employee, I should be putting in to myself. That is the biggest thing. All of that time that I put in, because I'm telling you, I work from sun up to sundown 6 days a week. What is stopping me from doing that for the things that I truly want to be doing in life? And may you use what I'm saying as a motivation for you of what is getting in the way of that. We are seeing streamers make millions of dollars because they show up repeatedly. They show up repeatedly and they just build this support system, the support group, people that believe in them. Okay. So make the time. I had this conversation with multiple people in my life about the things that they're doing, because I be giving messages left and right. And one of the things I told them is that you always have time to create content. I have someone that sits there and talk about how they want to make lifestyle content. You are always on the go. You are always out eating. You are always going out. Even if you don't get yourself on camera, at least capture the scenery, capture what you're eating, talk about how did it taste, all these different things. So there's no reason why you cannot be creating content. I have another person that sits there and what's it called? He's a vocal coach. And I'm like, you can talk about warm ups to do. There's competitions because he works with high schoolers, right? UIL. You can talk about what to expect during these competitions. When you are working with a client, get the permission from the parent to record their child singing and you giving the correction. Now, you don't have to get their face on camera. You can get, behind their back, but the camera is picking you up. All of these things, right? There's always time to create. And so I had to be honest with myself of when I'm recording, I always want to record like in a specific place of my home. I want to record during a certain time of the day. And it's like, I can do this anywhere I want. Let me stop making excuses and just make it happen. So I've learned that my ass be making excuses because sometimes I strive for what is perfect. And life is going to require you to pivot. It's going to require you to pivot. Sometimes things do go the way that you plan, and sometimes they don't. And you have to be able to adjust. That adjustment is what stands in your way of success. Because if you cannot adjust, then you're going to fail. I'm just going to say it like that. You're going to fail if you cannot adjust. Okay. The next question, why you're no longer rushing in your life? Why am I no longer rushing in my life? The reason why I'm no longer rushing in my life is because I'm tired of spirit whooping my ass. I'm tired of spirit allowing me to get my ass whooped by life because I be rushing. So there are some things that I am going to talk about that I've gone through spiritually over the years in the Orisha tradition. I'm not going to talk about that right now. We're going to have a whole episode about that a little bit later. But what spirit has shown me, right? Whether it is the Orisha, whether it is my spirit court, whether it is my ancestors, is that when you are rushing and you are trying to go before it is your time, you are going to have to deal with the consequences, and sometimes you are going to be circled all the way back to the starting point because you are rushing. Okay. I know, I want to say in previous episode I talked about destiny a little bit, but we do have free will and we can try to take shortcuts to getting to the goal. However, when you have skipped certain things, you are always going to have to backtrack. And I put so much pressure on myself to getting things done because, of course, when I get readings or when I'm at a misa or getting sermon done and they're like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. When you tell me I need to do something, I'm taking that as I got to do it right now. You, the way you are telling it to me means that I got to do it right now, this second. And I have gotten myself in a lot of trouble. I have wasted a lot of time, a lot of money by always acting on the now. Like, I got to do it now, got to do it. I do not want to do that anymore. Again, when I tell you I've spent so much money, I am not in the business of just chunking money out the window. Your girl works hard for the money, and I'm not in the business of just throwing money out. Okay. So I have learned the very hard lesson of not rushing because, again, am I rushing to please those that are telling me I need to do this? Or am I like, what, like, why am I rushing? Some of the decisions that I made that was very rushed, it is because of the pressure that other people have put on me, even though I know I didn't want to do it. I wanted to wait a little bit. And this is where, again, we're going to get into this a little bit later about when it comes to elders speaking, sometimes they are speaking out of their benefit and not yours. And we're going to get into that in another episode. All right. But the no longer rushing is a protection from experiencing things that I'm ultimately going to have to heal from. What is yours is always going to be yours. What I was told years ago is that you cannot miss what is yours. So there is no need to rush. And a great analogy is going to be, think about, I don't know, you're cooking, a pot roast. Matter of fact, chicken. Because a lot of people will mess up on chicken because they are rushing. Like, you ever put that oil on high and the outside is like this dark golden crispiness, but that inside is raw as hell? That's because you are rushing. You can't go fix that now. I mean, the only way to fix that is to put it in the oven. And sometimes it's not going to be crispy. You can try to fry it again, but you're going to turn it really low. And again, it's just really all fucked up. You might as well throw it away and start over again. And that's what I mean by when you are rushing through stuff, especially through getting ceremonies and things like that done spiritually. When you are rushing through it, you have to circle back because something is going to get messed up. Okay. And I'm speaking from experience on that. Next question: how my relationship with spirituality has evolved. That is going to go into the not rushing thing. Spiritually, there have been a lot of changes and I'm still adjusting. I feel like when your gifts start to heighten, they start to increase a little bit more. When more gifts that probably were dormant, they are now active. Whew, it takes a toll on your physical body, for sure. It takes a toll on your spiritual body, and it can show up in different ways. But whether it's headaches, whether it's you cannot keep your head up because you are extremely tired, depending on the gifts, right? Coming around certain people, the energy, the you being aware of the energy shifts can make you nauseous. It's a lot of things that can happen, but my relationship with spirituality has evolved because I'm now slowing down and taking my time. When it comes to knowing your spiritual court and sitting with them, that is a relationship that you have to build because you have to know what they like. You have to know what, well, how they communicate, what they do for you, how to work with them, all these different things. And that takes time. And it's not something that you can just learn in one day. I don't care if you try to do it in 24 hours. You spend this full 24 hours, you're not going to learn into one day. And so my relationship with spiritually has evolved because, again, we know these things, but until you are in it, it changes stuff. Like, think about book book knowledge versus your practicals. Okay, like if you study medicine, you do have the moments where, yeah, you're learning out a textbook, but then it gets to a point to where, okay, now you're going to be working at the hospital and this is where you're going to be getting, your practicals done, and I don't even remember practicals is a correct word, but hopefully you guys know what I'm saying. So your relationship with spirituality, well, with my spirituality, it is, of course, me sitting with spirit more, but also getting some of that textbook knowledge because there is information out there. Is all that information correct? No, but it is definitely good to cover all your tracks. Okay. Because questions that you may have, and you may not have anyone that you can go to around you, there is a book that is going to have an answer. Okay. Or there is a book that is going to give you that confirmation of what it is you are feeling or seeing or hearing. Okay. So my relationship with spirituality has evolved because it has shown me the importance of patience. It has helped me become a little bit more patient, but also my relationship with spirituality and how it's evolved is just helping me recognize what is true and authentic to me, right? Because we have all of these things. We have the design matrix. We have the, what's it called? Is it called a destiny chart? We have your natal chart or a natal chart. I don't know. Your astrology chart. You have that. If you are Lukumi or Isheshe, right? We go to Ifa. All these different things help you to understand you a little bit more. And even though those things are you and telling you about yourself, sometimes we do not live in accordance to that. And with studying all of these things and looking into things from me, I've realized how misaligned I have been. Quite a bit misaligned. And the signs were always there telling me, oh, I'm not in alignment, right? All these different things. So My relationship with spirituality has just ultimately helped me to be who I truly am and not what society or my life experience had forced me to be. And hopefully that answered that question. Okay. So the next one is what I want listeners to experience this season. So this season, I definitely want you guys to experience a little bit more of a connection with me. I want to say on Spotify. I want to say on Spotify, you are able to record a message, and that message I can play on here on the podcast episodes. So if you have any questions you want to ask me, I will answer it on here. I will play your message on here and go from there. On Spotify, on YouTube, you are able to leave comments under each episode. If you have a comment or you have a question or anything, a concern, an opinion, share that and I will answer it on here. Okay, so I definitely want to have a little bit more of connection with you all. I respond to majority of the messages on social media. So if you message me on social media, I definitely do respond. And the only reason why I say I don't respond to all of them is because some of them messages, it just, they just, all I'm going to say is men. All I'm going to say is men. Okay. So this season, I want you guys to continue to learn. I want you guys to continue to grow, but also I definitely want you to feel some type of connection with me and not just feel as you are a listener, but also a participant and misopinionated. Okay. And the last question, conversations I'm ready to have that I wasn't ready to have before. There this is going to touch a lot of things. So one of the episodes that is already recorded, it is with Conscious Lee and a good friend Amber. They are really into politics. And what I mean into politics, I mean like their hands are in politics. They are very active when it comes to politics. And politics is something that I try to keep away from here, just like some other things. I try to keep away from here, but I want to talk a little bit more about the things that will help Black and Brown communities advance and grow. And even though I'm pretty sure I said that in like the very first episode, I really mean that moving forward because with the climate that we are in, not just in the US, but the entire world, it is time to it is time for us to stop bullshitting around and lollygagging. Everything is bigger than us, okay? Even when it comes to your spiritual gifts. Now, I am not Southern Baptist anymore, but I have Southern Baptist roots, and in the Bible it talks about how your gifts are not for you. Your gifts are to help other people. The gifts does not always have to be something that is supernatural, okay? We all have gifts, okay? And so conversations are going to be touching on touchy subjects. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about the education system. We are, and I really try to stay away from talking about relationships on here, but we are going to talk about all the things because yes, this is misopinionated. And yes, it is opinions on here. However, these opinions are going to come with research, is going to come with lived experiences and all these things like that to help you grow. There is no reason you are not progressing in life mentally, spiritually, and or emotionally. So the conversations, I ain't gonna say I'm gonna be hard on you all and on those that come on. But what I'm saying is that this is to awaken something in you, That way, a positive change can be made not only in your life, but also your surroundings, whether you are the one making those changes. Okay, so season 2 is definitely, we are going to really be hitting on awakening something in you. So go ahead and share these episodes with people. Trust me, you never know who needs to be listening to it. When you guys have conversations with your friends or with your family, hey, listen to this. And I don't want to hear nobody saying, oh, I don't have time. You in the car driving, you washing dishes. Hell, you taking a goddamn shower. Play it. You know? Yeah, play it. So this is where we're going to end this episode. Oh my goodness, we've been on here for 30 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end this. Okay. And again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to Miss Opinionated season 1. And I thank you for returning back for season 2. If you have not listened to season 1, go back and listen to some of them episodes. I'm telling you, there were some gems that is in each and every one of them. Are some of them long? Hell yeah. But again, make the time. Make the time. I was just talking about how I got to make more time and find balance. You do the same. Okay. Do it for yourself. Now, if you guys are in the Houston and surrounding areas, check out Casa de Aguas Dulces. That is CASADEAGUASDULCES.com. That is my nonprofit. It is a 501c3. That means it is federally recognized as a nonprofit. Donations totaling up to $500. It does not have to be $500 in one lump sum. It can be $500 over time. Once you make a minimum of $500 worth of donations, it can also be in-kind donations. You can claim that on your taxes. Okay, but Casa de Aguas Dulces is fostering growth and development mentally, spiritually, and emotionally within the Black and Brown community. Why do I focus so much on the Black and Brown community? Because my ass is Black and brown. I am Afro Indigenous. Okay, I have ancestry, Mexico, from the States, from Africa. Okay, if we really get into it, we know that also is coming from Europe. Okay, because of the, the slave trade and all that. But nonetheless, I focus on Black and Brown community because, yes, I'm Afro Indigenous. I'm Black and Mexican. Okay, Black American and Mexican. All right. So that is my core focus. Can people outside of that attend events? Yes, you can. However, again, I want to tell you, do not be surprised when we start talking about the Black experience. And I say that because the first women's circle, there was a few white women in there. They were sitting there looking very confused and a little bit overwhelmed by what we were talking about in there and the emotions that was in that room. Okay, so there's a warning. Okay, again, I thank you all for being here. You guys have a great rest of your day, your night, your weekday or weekend. So until next time.